Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Physician, Finances, and Investing. I'm Joe, a resident physician. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you the physician's perspective about a company that recently announced they're going public, Butterfly Network. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage of choice, and let me know what you think of this analysis. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my perspective about a company called Butterfly Technology, who recently announced that they'll be going public via a merger with Longview Acquisition Corporation. For those of you who may not be familiar with Butterfly, it is a medical equipment company that specializes in the production of portable ultrasound devices. So that we're all starting on the same page in this discussion, an ultrasound is one type of imaging modality that is commonly utilized in the medical profession to aid physicians in visualizing the soft tissues such as muscle, nerve, and organ. Traditional ultrasounds accomplish this by use of a physics property referred to as the piezoelectric effect. Basically, ultrasound probes are created with crystals embedded within the probe itself. Whenever an electric current is passed along these crystals, this allows sound waves to be created. These sound waves are then directed toward the human body, and upon striking different structures, the sound waves are reverberated back toward the ultrasound probe, which allows the machine to create an image. It is because of the piezoelectric effect that we see traditional ultrasounds ranging from tens of thousands of dollars, with some of the highest end ultrasound machines costing upwards of $100,000. This is what sets Butterfly apart from its competitors. Rather than relying on the piezoelectric effect and crystals, Butterfly creates its ultrasound probes with a semiconductor chip, allowing them to create these ultrasounds for a fraction of the cost compared to the competitors. So this brings up the first question that potential investors need to ask themselves. How does the image quality of a Butterfly compare to a more traditional ultrasound machine? For those of you who don't know, I'm currently a resident in physical medicine and rehabilitation, and after completion of my residency, I will be pursuing a fellowship in interventional chronic pain management. Physical medicine and rehabilitation is a specialty focused on patient function and quality of life. And while physical medicine and rehabilitation physicians, also known as physiatrists, treat a wide breadth of patient populations, my personal interest is in musculoskeletal medicine and chronic pain management. It's from this perspective that I want to give my insights as they relate to the Butterfly ultrasound probe. After having the opportunity to utilize the Butterfly ultrasound probe, I can honestly say that I was very impressed with the image quality it was able to produce for superficial structures such as the wrist, the elbow, and the knee. But as a physician who will be performing interventions to help treat patients' pain, I would not feel comfortable utilizing a Butterfly ultrasound probe for deeper structures. After utilizing the Butterfly for deeper structures such as the shoulder and the hip, I was not impressed with the image quality at all. The image quality was very blurry and grainy, and I was unable to identify landmarks that I would need to be able to see to safely perform my interventions. At this time, I believe that traditional ultrasound probes that utilize crystals and the piezoelectric effect provide superior image quality for these deeper structures, and when performing interventions, it would be my choice to utilize those machines over a Butterfly ultrasound probe. But with all of that being said, I can definitely see Butterfly improving on this in the future as its technology advances and they come out with newer products. One thing worth keeping in mind for those who are considering potentially investing in Butterfly is that they are not alone in this space. There are already competitors who are also producing portable ultrasound devices. One of the most popular competitors at this time is the Philips Lumify. And while the Philips Lumify is a little bit more expensive than Butterfly because they utilize crystals and the piezoelectric effect, the image quality produced by this ultrasound probe is vastly superior to those that are created by Butterfly. Again, like I mentioned, I do think that Butterfly could potentially improve its image quality in the future as its technology advances, but there are competitors there, and this is definitely not a company that has a strong moat at this time, in my personal opinion. When researching Butterfly, listening to their most recent conference call, and checking out its investor relation page, one interesting thing that they pointed out is the idea of value-based care. And this is something that I think could potentially be a huge catalyst for the company in the future. One of the early institutional private investors involved with Butterfly is UPMC Enterprises. For those of you who may not be familiar with UPMC, it is a large healthcare conglomerate headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with UPMC Enterprises serving as the innovation and venture capital part of their business model. UPMC is a large hospital system that has been involved in the acquisition of numerous small community hospitals over the past few years. What sets UPMC apart from other healthcare systems across the country is that they are not only the provider, but they are also the insurer, owning their own insurance company called UPMC Health Plan. I believe it is the idea of value-based care and the fact that UPMC owns their own health plan that has led them to become an early investor in Butterfly. In order for potential investors to understand the idea of value-based care, we first need to discuss how insurance companies have traditionally paid providers. Traditionally, providers have been reimbursed on a fee-for-service schedule, with physicians collecting relative value units, commonly referred to as RVUs, for the services that they offer to their patients. What this means is that every service that a physician offers to patients has a value associated with it, with a routine office visit collecting less RVUs than an intervention such as a surgery. So, in summary, the more RVUs that a physician is able to produce, the higher their income is going to be for that year. For most healthcare systems and physicians across the country, the revenue that they are able to generate is still largely determined by the RVUs that they are able to produce. However, this is not the case for UPMC. In recent years, UPMC and UPMC Health Plan has pioneered the idea of value-based care. In order to discuss this further, it's probably easiest to talk about a specific example. One of the most common sources of disability and ailments in our country is chronic low back pain, with a recent study comparing the cost to the healthcare system for patients who underwent spine surgery to those who were treated with more conservative treatment options, such as physical therapy, a dietitian, and a pain psychologist. What this retrospective study found is that while the cohort of patients who were treated with conservative care were actually a similar initial upfront cost to the healthcare system as the surgical cohort, when looked at over the following years, the conservative care cohort actually saved the healthcare system a lot more money. For a healthcare system like UPMC that is both the provider and the insurer, you can see why the idea of value-based care means so much. The less money that the insurance company has to spend for patient care, the more money that goes to the bottom line. So now you're probably asking yourself, where does Butterfly come into this idea of value-based care? Well, in light of the current global pandemic, the large majority of routine patient care has been transitioned to telemedicine. After listening to Butterfly's most recent conference call and reviewing their documentation on their investor relation page, this is one area where they feel that they could potentially add enormous value. The idea is that during a telemedicine visit, a physician could walk a patient through performing a diagnostic scan on themselves so that the patient and physician could come up with a diagnosis during that telemedicine visit. If a physician is able to provide patients with a point-of-care diagnosis during a routine telemedicine visit or even during a normal office visit, then this could potentially save the healthcare system an enormous amount of money because patients would not have to go and get a formal diagnostic ultrasound. Now, as someone who is currently learning musculoskeletal ultrasound, I believe that this idea is extremely far-fetched, especially the idea of patients performing a diagnostic scan on themselves via telemedicine. For healthcare professionals, there is a huge learning curve whenever it comes to learning ultrasound. The idea that a physician could walk a patient through a diagnostic scan via telemedicine is, in my opinion, extremely unlikely. And while there is value in having access to point-of-care ultrasound for in-person evaluations to help expedite care, I still believe that from a diagnostic perspective, most physicians are going to continue to refer patients for a formal ultrasound at the local radiology department solely from a medical legal perspective. With all of that being said, Butterfly has another part of its business model which they plan to implement in the future, the idea of wearables. Basically, this idea is that patients with chronic medical conditions such as high blood pressure and heart disease could wear a device that will monitor the status of their condition so that patients and physicians are able to keep closer eyes on it and hopefully keep patients healthy and out of the hospital. Now, this is part of Butterfly's business model that they are still developing, and they plan to bring their initial products to market as early as 2023 or 2024. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But with all of that being said, I do believe that this could provide a ton of growth to Butterfly's business model in the future. As more insurance companies transition to the idea of value-based care and the idea of keeping patients healthy and out of the hospital, this could really help to fuel Butterfly's revenue. I personally have not yet made an investment in Butterfly, but it is a company that I'm watching very closely. Ever since they made the announcement in November that they plan to merge with Longview Acquisition Corporation and go public in early 2021, the stock price has skyrocketed. I do believe that it's largely overbought in the short term, but I'll be watching it closely, and if it falls to a reasonable level, I would definitely consider opening a small position. As a reminder, I'm not a certified financial planner. I'm a resident physician with an interest in personal finances and investing. Make sure you're doing your own research before you make any investing decisions. Alright guys, if you stuck around to this point in the video, I hope you enjoyed hearing my 2 cents as it relates to Butterfly. If there are other healthcare stocks and companies that you want to hear me talk about in the future, please make sure to comment below and I'll be sure to get that information to you. And if you haven't already, please smash that like button and click on the subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm and to help my channel grow. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.